Hello and welcome back to my channel. My name is CeCe Olisa. I'm on Instagram at CeCe Olisa, and I make videos based on my personal motto, which is don't wait on your weight to live the life you want. You may have found me because of my TEDx talk, How to Build Self-Confidence. You may have found me because I'm co-founder of the CurvyCon. Either way, I'm glad you're here, and I can't wait to chat with you today. You're here to chat about weight loss, specifically my weight loss, I guess. I just want to set some ground rules here. I've been kind of working through this whole weight loss conversation and body positivity. I'm not going to get it all right, but I'm going to do the best that I can, especially because this is my story and it just has to do with me. I'm not telling you guys how to live your life. I feel like I'm in a place now where I can talk about my weight in a way that I'm comfortable and in a way that I hope will still make you guys comfortable and not feel triggered or anything like that. My intention is to just have an open conversation with you and to make sure that you understand what's going on with me and how I got to where I am right now with my weight. So a few ground rules, I guess I'll say. Some things that I'm trying to work through in my life are about numbers, like money or your weight. Sometimes we apply so much meaning to those numbers and all they are really is just data, right? Sometimes you have a lot of data in the money department and sometimes you have less. Sometimes you have a lot of data in the weight department and sometimes you have less, but it's not a definition of who you are or what's good or bad about you, right? So I will be talking about my weight. I will be giving you guys numbers and stats because it doesn't mean anything. I'm not giving you numbers and stats so that you can compare yourself to me because really there's no way to do that. You don't have my genetic makeup. You don't have this little saggy roll right here or this back fat right here. You don't you don't have what I have. So the numbers on me will never look like the numbers on you. I am tall. So there are numbers that I will say and you'll be like, you weighed what? And I'll be like, yes, sis, I did, but I'm very tall, right? So just know these numbers don't mean anything, but I think it's helpful to for me at least, it's helpful to release the power of the numbers, right? There are times that I used to cut the sizes out of my jeans because those numbers meant something about me that I didn't want them to mean, and I didn't want them to be associated with me, even though they were the size of my jeans. So I feel like by avoiding saying how much I weighed or avoiding saying what my size is, I'm doing the same thing as when I used to cut out the numbers on my jeans. It was like denying a part of myself, which just makes no sense, okay? So this isn't a diet culture situation. This is a factual situation. Your girl is black. Your girl has kinky natural hair. Your girl is fat. Your girl sometimes weighs 300 something, almost 400 something. Your girl sometimes weighs less than that, okay? So just, it is what it is. And if you feel like you're gonna be super sensitive about this video, this probably isn't the video for you. You can skip it and I'll see you tomorrow, okay? All right, let's be real for a second. Being plus size and losing weight, it goes hand in hand. I don't care who you are. I don't care how body positive you are. All of us at some point or even currently are thinking about, worried about, wanting to, trying not to lose weight. Weight and plus size, they go hand in hand. It just is what it is. And so what I've been feeling lately is that I didn't want to offend anybody, but at the same time, you guys aren't dumb, right? You guys are watching me get smaller video after video over the past 2.5 years. And at first I was well, I'm not going to talk about it because I'm body positive. But now I'm noticing by not talking about it, people are starting to put their own narrative on my story, my body, and what's going on. I just want to make sure you guys hear it from me, what's going on. You guys aren't dumb. You see my body's changing. You see I look different. You know I was sick, but I don't think I talk about weight loss because for years you guys have told me that you liked that I didn't talk about weight loss. But now you guys are I'm hearing that people like that I don't talk about weight loss, but my DMs are flooded with questions about weight loss. So I've been hiding in the shadows because I was afraid. I was afraid of the body positive community. I was afraid of the fat supremacists. I was afraid. I was afraid that people would say that I wasn't doing it right. But at the end of the day, how can I not do my life right? You know what I mean? So I'm not really here to talk about politics, rules, or anything else. I'm just here to tell you guys my story about my weight loss. So here's the story of my weight loss. The story of my weight loss starts in 2015. So that's what, 4 years ago? 2015 was one of the hardest years of my life. I had just quit my job. I had just launched the CurvyCon with my business partner, Chastity, and it was a lot of change. It was a lot of change. And while things were exciting and I was taking risks and I was following my dreams, I was also dealing with a lot of like personal change. When I stepped into myself, when I started to find my confidence as CeCe and like my blog and my Instagram and my YouTube and speaking out and telling my story and all that kind of stuff, my success with some of my friends, there wasn't room for my success in our friendship. So there are a lot of people that I was friends with before 2015 that I don't even talk to anymore. And there are people that I love dearly, but they would say things to me that basically, it made it clear that in order for us to stay friends, I had to not be successful. And no, right? Like that just wasn't gonna happen. So I had to let a lot of people that I love just kind of like phase out of my life. So that left me with not as many friends as I had before. And then I had known for years that I was dating the wrong person, but I loved the stability and I loved our friendship. I loved the friendship that I had with him, and I loved how supportive he was. Out of everyone outside of my family, out of all my friends, the guy that I was dating was my biggest cheerleader. He never had anything but like positivity and like, yes, you're gonna do this. Like he was telling me it was time for me to quit my job before I was ready to quit my job. Like he was that supportive. He was that much of a cheerleader. Like it was, he was not intimidated by what I had going on, and he wanted the best for me even when I didn't want it for myself. So he was like my one person outside my family that I could really like, just like be myself with in regards to my career, which at that time was starting to be like very precious and also like very like fragile at the same time, because I just quit my job and like it was up to me to support myself, So imagine my surprise when it finally hit me like a ton of bricks. Like, yes, this man is so supportive and so amazing and such a great guy, but he is not the guy for you. He's not your guy. He's not your person. And there's things about your relationship with him that are not right for you, and you need to end it. I didn't want to do it. I didn't want to do it. And not because I was so desperate to keep our relationship. I was just tired of change. And I didn't want to lose like my one person in New York who was like my cheerleader, But I was obedient and I released that relationship and I let it go. I think the other thing that I want to be very honest about is when I started my blog in 2008, my desire was to be skinny. I was still coming out of the acting world where I was told like I basically wasn't going to work unless I was thin. So in my head, my life wasn't going to get good until I was skinny. I said it in my TEDx talk. It is the truth. So there was a time in my life around the time when I first met some of you that being skinny was my goal. It is not my goal anymore, and it was never going to happen for me. I was a 10-pound baby. I'm always going to be a big girl. But something that I've always said from the beginning of my blog is that while I am pretty much convinced that I'm destined to be plus size, I don't know that I have to be on the bigger end of plus. Maybe I need to be on the smaller end of plus. Maybe I need to be in the middle. I don't know, but I don't think that my body is has a predisposition to be almost 400 pounds. I don't think that's the story for my body. I do think that my body was meant to be plus size, but I just don't think that it was meant to be almost 400 pounds. A lot of what I'm saying, I'm just gonna kind of touch on so that you guys understand, but I did a really big deep dive in this on my podcast. I have a podcast called Cocktails and Confidence with my business partner, Chastity, and we have an episode called I'm Still Fat Sis, because I'm still fat, sis. And in that episode, we do a huge deep dive into body positivity and weight loss. So I'm going to link that episode down below. If you have additional questions, they're probably answered in that podcast. So be sure to listen to that and subscribe to our podcast. Season 2 is on the way. But in that podcast, one of the things that I mentioned is that for me, CeCe Olisa, for me, I used body positivity to mask a lot of issues that I had with food. So I'm not going to go into too much detail, but I identify with words like eating disorder. I identify with words like emotional eater. I identify with words like binge eating. Those are things Those words I know well. I know the definition. I know what it feels like to do those things and to have those things as a part of your life. And so for me, when I found body positivity and the idea of like, it doesn't matter what my weight is, I internalized that and let that be a nice little like coast into eat whatever you want, do whatever you want, or don't. And so there was a way that I used to love myself through healthy living, through supportive foods, through fitness, and I kept the fitness up, but I started eating whatever I wanted, and I used body positivity in the back of my mind to just like co-sign it. Like, well, it doesn't matter. And then I would just like go for it, right? Not to say that there are things that not to say that there's anything I can't eat. There's not anything I can't eat. I can eat whatever I want. I do eat whatever I want. But I do think that too much of a good thing isn't always a good thing. I used body positivity to excuse behavior that was not supportive to my health. Did you hear that? CeCe Olisa, used body positivity as an excuse to participate in behavior that wasn't supportive to her health. That's what I did, okay? At the same time, I can say CeCe Olisa is probably meant to be fat. CeCe Olisa will probably be fat for the rest of her life. CeCe Olisa is a plus size girl currently, and CeCe Olisa has no intentions on being skinny, okay? All of that lives in the same person. Maybe some of you are just one dimensional and you just walk around like a body positive robot. I am not that person. I am multifaceted, multidimensional. There's a lot of pieces to my puzzle, and there's even more teeny tiny pieces when it comes to my body, my weight, my size, and how I'm living in that regard, okay? So those are just things like you should know about me. Those are things I will never apologize for because it's the truth. And I think it's hard to be honest about this stuff. Something else I will say is I don't know that I ever have 100% loved my body. Love is a verb. Love is something that you do. Love is something that you show. So I am constantly loving my body, but I can't say that I'm always sitting in a place of love with my body. Don't know if anyone's willing to admit it, but I am. So how are ways that I love my body? I love my body by going to therapy. I love my body by eating supportive foods. I love my body by joyful movement, working out, dancing. I love my body by wearing cute clothes. I love my body by making sure my hair gets done and I wash my hair and I take a shower every day. Like there are a million ways I can love my body, right? As an action word, as something I'm always actively doing in pursuit of being able to sit in any moment and saying, I love this 100%, no question. I think I've probably gotten to 98% before. I don't think I've ever gotten to 100%. Who knows if I ever will, but that's always what I'm working towards. But I'm never going to say that I got it, okay? So if you're a work in progress with loving your body, I'm a work in progress with loving mine. Hopefully we can be in this together. So after I broke up with the guy I was dating that was like my cheerleader, I think my depression just really took over, and it manifested in a lot of bad behaviors with food. Not going to get too far into it. A lot of bad behaviors with food. And I say bad behaviors because they were bad behaviors. I wasn't eating bad things. There's no such thing as good food and bad food. I believe that. But the way I was engaging with food was not supportive to me. I'll say it that way. The way I was engaging with food was not supportive to me. Okay? So around that time, I got into therapy. Hey, therapy. Hey. And so I started just working on all the things. If you're not in therapy, you should start. So that was more or less 2015. So 2015 was filled with a lot of change, quitting jobs, losing friends, ending relationships, and launching a business. All launching the CurvyCon in the middle of all of that, right? So move on to 2016. As I shared in my apartment tour video, 2016 was a rough year. Just know I slept on the floor in my own house for a really long time. You can see the full story with that here. So imagine everything that I brought in from 2015, all the hurt and the pain and the trauma from 2015, I brought into 2016, and it only got worse. The CurvyCon we thought was going to be profitable from day one. It wasn't. We were pouring our personal finances into the CurvyCon, and I was still struggling financially. So it got even worse. Like life got even worse in 2016. Thank God I was still in therapy. So I started to navigate things a little bit better, but I was a mess and I didn't realize how much of a mess I was until I was in this position where everything was all on me and I had to support myself and figure myself out. So imagine all the emotions that come from the things I've described. In between there, I had some unexpected deaths in my family. There was just a lot in my personal life that I just felt like I was getting just like tossed around like a rag doll by life. Like that's how I felt. And every emotion that I had, good or bad, I ate. I ate every emotion that I had. And so typically through like when I was doing PSP Fit, some of you guys remember that, I basically could gain or lose the same 50 pounds over and over again. So I would teeter between like the high 200s and the low 300s, back and forth 50 pounds. I would gain and lose it, gain and lose it. And honestly, like the work to lose 50 pounds, the work, the diligence, the commitment, the consistency that it takes to lose 50 pounds is hard. It's hard, especially if you're doing it from a diet perspective, right? Which I had stopped dieting, but consistent, like supportive behaviors when that's not really my default, to get down 50 pounds is a lot of work. And so every time I would get down to 50 pounds, I would be exhausted. I'd be like, whew, 50 pounds down, like, well, that's enough. I don't need to do anymore. And I would just kind of stop. I would fall off. I would go back to old behaviors that weren't really who I wanted to be anymore, but the consistency would never happen. So in essence, I actually was dieting. 2015 and 2016 just stacked on top of me like a ton of bricks. And I started engaging with food in an unsupportive way. I gained even more weight than I ever thought I could. And I ended up closer to 400 pounds than 300 pounds. So I was bigger than I had ever been. And it wasn't looking in the mirror that bothered me, because your girl was still cute, okay? She was still bringing the boys to the yard. Like everything, don't listen. Listen. The dating was not the issue. The way I looked was not the issue. What I saw in the mirror was not an issue. And what I was rocking and wearing and all that was not an issue. The issue was how I felt. I had lower back spasms for no reason. Just standing, lower back spasms. I would be at church singing praise and worship, standing on one foot because my knees couldn't hold my weight. Like I would be like shifting from one foot to the other. Or if I wanted to stand on 2 feet, I would have to stand really wide. Like my body got so big that I needed a wider stance as a strong base for how heavy I was. So if I wanted to stand like a lady with my ankles together, my knees literally couldn't handle it. My lower back was in pain. I told you that. I started having skin issues. I'm gonna be real honest with you guys. Real honest. I started having skin issues. I started getting boils, like abscesses in places that like I don't even know what was going on. It was like my body was just so filled with toxicity that it started like coming out. Like my body was like, oh, well, if you're not gonna release this toxicity in a healthy way, we're gonna release it. And so I was going to the dermatologist and having to get abscesses drained. Like my whole body chemistry was different. It was off and it wasn't fun. The other thing that was hard is like I've always been a super active person, and living in New York, I'd always be like, oh, let's walk to such and such. Let's walk 20 blocks to the blah, blah, blah. Let's walk Central Park. Like I would walk the city all the time. I didn't walk anywhere for a year. I took Ubers everywhere because I didn't have the energy to move my body. And I was like, this is not me. I'm never the person who chooses inactivity over activity. And so when my behaviors started to change to accommodate my body, alarm bells started going off for me. Like, girl, like you've crossed the boundary here. I don't know what you're gonna do, but you've crossed the boundary. At the same time, emotionally, I wasn't strong enough to do anything about it. I knew the behaviors that were leading me to gain all this weight and feel badly, but I didn't have the strength or energy yet to do anything about it. I was using food to soothe myself. I was using food to feel better at the end of a long day. I was using food to comfort me at night when I felt lonely. I was using food to do a lot of things that food isn't really meant to do, right? And because of that, it showed up. It's funny, one of you had sent me some, like an email or a DM. This was years ago. And you were like, hey, CeCe, I notice you work out a lot, but you don't lose weight. Why? And I was like, ugh, excuse me, like so offended. But at the end of the day, it was the truth. I was publicly working out and privately undoing those workouts quite a bit. Like, if I was moving the needle this way and burning this many calories, I was going home privately and eating that many, and like just completely canceling out any activity. Not from a diet culture perspective, but from a math perspective. I was not calories in or calories out or whatever it is. Like, my numbers were off, therefore I was gaining at a rapid pace and more than I ever had before, okay? I'm putting all this out there because I just feel like it's really easy for people who don't understand being plus size and don't understand body positivity to demonize us as fat people. But then when fat people start to get smaller, it's really easy to demonize them for getting smaller. And so for those of us who are stuck between like trying to be healthy, you guys know I almost died. So like trying to be healthy, trying to stay alive, doing what it takes, and then like y'all, my community that I love so much, it's like, it almost feels like I'm being asked to choose. And I already know I choose life every time, right? I don't think being fat is a life or death situation, but I think what I was doing to myself was a life or death situation, and became evident because I almost died and ended up in the hospital for a month fighting for my life, right? So in 2017, I was diagnosed as pre-diabetic. It finally happened. I got like my doctor was like, girl, it's happening. Like, I got put on some sort of insulin, like, pen thing I had to do. I had to do that. I had to start taking all these medications, pricking myself with a needle, not fun. So I had to ask myself, like, would I rather stick myself with a needle and eat whatever I want at 2 in the morning? Or do I want to like switch it up, start loving my body as a verb, loving it through fitness, loving it through eating the foods that are supportive to me and my PCOS and everything else that I've got going on? Or do I want to stick myself with a needle every day? So I decided that I did not want to stick myself with a needle every day, but I decided that I still wasn't ready to start quite yet. So even though I got diagnosed as pre-diabetic in January, I think, of 2017, I had this trip planned to New Orleans for Jazz Fest. I think that was in April. And I told myself, like, yes, you're going down a wrong road. Wrong road. Where's my Atlanta Housewives fans? Anyway, I was going down a wrong road for CeCe. And but I still told myself that I'm still gonna do what I want, eat what I want, engage with food in destructive ways until after I go to New Orleans. And because I wanted to go to New Orleans and I wanted to have a po' boy for the first time. I just had all these food dreams that I just wanted to accomplish. So, you know, I love accomplishing a goal. And one of my goals was to eat my way through New Orleans. So I was like, CeCe, for the next 4 months, like, you can stay checked out, but after that, you need to check in. Went to New Orleans, had the best time. If you guys care, I'm not gonna show you guys before and afters. You guys can figure it out. You can go to my Instagram and you can go through the feed. You'll see me at almost 400 pounds. Cuba, almost 400 pounds. New Orleans, almost 400 pounds. Like, the pictures are there and I don't delete them because it's me and it's part of me, and I'm not ashamed of that person. I'm not. Like, she got me here. She did the work that makes me live the life I live now. So I never talk about her bad. Like, she is me, I am she. It's not a different person. So don't talk about fat CeCe because I'm fat CeCe. Hi. Anyway, so went to New Orleans, had a great time, and then when I landed back on the plane, I was like, it's go time. We got to get it together. So something I know, just because I'm fat and I gain and lose weight all the time, I know that people notice my weight loss every 10 pounds and every 50 pounds. So every 10 pounds or so, people will be like, oh, are you losing weight? You know, I don't know, just trying to, live right, whatever, move on, right? I knew I was approaching the 50-pound mark, and that you guys on Instagram or YouTube or whatever would probably notice it in a more major way, just because that's how my body is. Like, it just shows up once I hit 50 pounds, even though I've been working hard the whole time. Well, around the 50-pound mark is when I almost died and went to the hospital and ended up in the hospital for a month. So the truth of the matter is, when I hit that 50-pound mark, I was done. I told you it takes a lot of work. As someone with PCOS, it takes me a lot of work to get down 50 pounds and to be comfortable again with my knees and my joints and my back pain. So yeah, if I hadn't got sick, I probably would have stopped after that 50 pounds. I was feeling comfortable. I was feeling good. I got sick, and in the hospital, you guys noticed the 50 pounds that I had been working to lose. And you guys were like, oh my gosh, like you're in the hospital, you look so skinny, like, oh my God, like it looked, for you guys, because I knew your eyes were gonna see it, because every 50 pounds is when people see it. So I think me being in the hospital looked to y'all's eye. You guys know, everybody knows how they lose weight, right? And I just know, like, so me hitting the 50-pound mark while in the hospital was very jarring for a lot of you. And you guys were really scared for me. I was really scared for me because of what was happening on the inside. My weight, not as much. So a couple things happened after I got sick. One, because I was diagnosed with a blood clotting disorder, there were just some general guidelines for my health that I got really specific about. And then, so being in the hospital for a month and, you know, being very close to dying was terrifying, and my weight was never on my mind because what was going on with me was a blood clotting disorder. At the same time, often when people get blood clots the way I did, it's an indicator that something bigger is going on, like cancer or like something more life-threatening. Thank God that's not what was happening with me. But in some ways, it made it more confusing because it was like, you have this issue and we don't know why, and it's showing up in ways that are detrimental to your well-being. And so the prescription for me was just kind of like, live right. Like, it wasn't like, if you do this, you won't clot. It was like, you need to take your medication and you need to take care of yourself, right? And I can say confidently that, you know, from 2015, 2016, and the first quarter of 2017 until I went to New Orleans, I was not taking care of myself. I was not loving my body. I was treating my body like someone I didn't like. I was giving it things that wasn't good for it. I was giving it things that I knew I was giving my body things that I knew were not good for my body. I was doing things to my body that I knew were not good for my body. That is not love. And if somebody was force feeding me poison or something, I would be like, you don't love me. Why are you doing that? I was force feeding me poison. And I say poison because as someone with PCOS who has researched the things from an eating perspective that are supportive and the things that are not supportive for PCOS, I was eating the things that were not supportive because those are the best things. Hello. So it was enjoyable to give myself poison every day at 2 a.m, but it was not productive, right? So, long story short, when I got out of the hospital, the main conversation was just like, you gotta take care of yourself. That's what my doctor was saying. In my head, I'm like, I gotta start loving myself again. I had never been that unsupportive to myself from a health perspective for that long before. So even for my girl boss people, like your health is something that you need to put into play when you're thinking about starting your business, quitting your job, because my job and my relationships and life happening, people dying that I loved, like that is what got me to a place where I was just like, this is how I handled emotions. This is how I handled emotions. This is how I handled emotions. Like there was no other option, even in therapy, right? So, I mean, of course therapy is making a dent, but these changes don't happen overnight. You can't like make a U-turn with the Titanic, right? Not to say I was as big as the Titanic, but I kind of was. It's not bad. I feel like I can fat shame myself, but maybe you guys don't think that's funny. Anyway, so that being said, when I got out of the hospital, my left leg was extremely bigger than my right because of everything that was going on with me, and I still wasn't in a good place. I had been in the hospital for a month. I was barely released to fly home for Christmas. And so I said to my doctor, like, you know, my right leg has really bounced back, but my left leg is still huge. Like, is there anything that we can do? Like, we're measuring it and they're legitimately different sizes. And he was like, CeCe, this might be your new normal. Like, he was like, I cannot guarantee that your leg will go down, but he's like, the one thing that would help is like consistent activity, movement, getting back into your fitness routine, how you said you used to be. You know, he didn't know me. So he's like, you said you worked out, so maybe you should do that. So I got into like swimming, and basically that 50-pound mark where I normally would have quit, for the first time in my life, I kept going with my consistency. So usually I'm consistent for 50 pounds and then my consistency falls off. This time I was consistent for 50 pounds, got super sick. And when I got out of the hospital, I continued with my consistency because I was terrified. I'm terrified of that happening again. Yeah, it's hard to think about. It's a time in my, like, anyway, I don't want to go back to the hospital. And so that's where the consistency came in. That's when the mindfulness comes in. That's when the consistency comes in. That's when the trying different classes and keeping myself from getting bored. Like, I'm just on it because in a lot of ways I don't have a choice. And the therapy, right? So for me, if people ask me like, oh, like, how did you lose weight? The first weight I lost was getting rid of the guy that I wasn't supposed to be dating. Then I gained even more weight. Then the next weight I lost was like the mental weight, to the point that I could even open my mind in 2017 to say, all right, CeCe, it's time. It's time to like get back to business and start loving yourself again, right? Through your health and fitness. And then, you know, then after that, which is like a 3-year process, all of that, right? Then the physical weight started to fall off. And now, because I'm more consistent than I've ever been in my life, I am smaller than I have ever been in my life. I have never looked like this before. I look in the mirror and I'm like, who is that? Why is your chin so pointy? It's weird, right? Like, I don't know. But I know that consistency is the only option that I have. I talked about this in my TEDx a lot. Like, health is a practice, not a pant size, and consistency is my measure of success. So I have been consistent for 2.5 years, and it's gotten me from a size 28 to a size 18 over 2.5 years. So that's it. That's where we are. Like, that's what's happening. I have questions, and I don't talk about weight loss, but then you guys want me to talk about weight loss, and then I tried to infuse it in a vlog once and mentioned like, oh, this is like my breakfast and this is me at the gym. And someone said I was promoting diet culture. Like, I'm stuck and I don't know. I also feel like I'm treating you guys like idiots because I'm like, you know, every few months I'm looking a little bit, my chin is getting pointy. My chin is getting, I still have a double chin, don't get it twisted, but my chin is getting pointy. I look different, and I'm not talking about it because I'm trying to respect body positivity politics, but then the people who do the body positivity politics are also like secretly DMing me and asking me questions, and I'm stuck, you guys, I'm stuck. And so I guess I'm wondering, like, why isn't there a conversation around being body positive and losing weight that isn't condemning people for losing weight? Like, why aren't we talking about it? I am fat. I have always been fat. I am still fat. I will be fat. But somehow me getting to this size 18, I just feel like it's more of a mixed bag. Like, I felt like when I was losing weight, but still like a size 24, you know, something like that, like it wasn't a big deal. But now I'm a size 18 and it's like this weird conversation that I just don't understand. I don't know. It's like I watch, and it's not just me. I've watched people do it to other people, and but I've never been in the position, right? So I have questions. I have so many questions. And for me, and what I do when I have questions is usually when I feel like there's something for me to do. Like there's something I'm supposed to do to help or to try to figure it out. So I think what I'm gonna do is play by my own rules. And I think what I'm gonna do is start making videos for you guys about how to lose weight and be body positive. I think that it's not fair that we the minute weight loss happens, we either yell at people about it or we don't talk about it at all. And for the past 2.5 years, I have not spoken about my weight loss because I've been trying so hard to be body positive. And I don't know that that's ultimately body positive, because all that's happening now is because I'm not saying anything, then people are like saying weird things to me that like make me uncomfortable. Does that make sense? So because of that, I feel like I'm always, when it comes to my dating life, when it comes to my work, when it comes to my fashion, like I've always given you guys the narrative. You guys always tell me like, oh, CeCe, you share so much with us. You're always transparent. Like you guys always say that you like that I share with you guys like the real. And like this situation is weird. It's weird. It's weird to go from a size 28 to an 18. It's not on some poor little rich girl. Do not feel sorry for me because I lost weight. You don't need to feel sorry for me. There are ways that my life got exponentially easier because I lost weight. There are ways that my life got exponentially more difficult because I lost weight. It is what it is. I'm still the same person, still fine, still cute, still valuable, still pulling the boys to the yard. Like size 28, size 18, the boys were still coming to the yard. That's fine. Size 28, size 18, I was still smart, loving, giving, a girl boss, a person of service, trying to change the world. None of these things have changed. The only thing that changed is this pointy chin and the size of my jeans, right? So I think I let myself get backed into a corner. I know I did. I think I got scared of the body positive police. I got scared of the fat supremacists. And I used to be afraid of body shamers who would call me fat. But now I've got body shamers that are telling me I'm not plus size, which makes absolutely no sense because the way these jeans are set up, it's double digits, sis. High double digits, right? So I'm gonna take my narrative back and I'm gonna make videos for you guys called How to Lose Weight and Stay Body Positive, because that's what I'm trying to do. And I'm not gonna get it right all the time, but I'm gonna try because we need it. The body positive conversation needs a weight loss narrative that isn't just about attacking people, condemning them for whatever methods they choose or what have you. I don't care if you've had weight loss surgery. You can be a subscriber of mine. You can watch my videos. I don't care if you're doing keto. You can be a subscriber of mine. You can watch my videos. I don't care if you're a fat activist and you are fine with being 600 pounds and you think it's your right to do that, because it is. And I agree with you. And if that's what you want, that's what I want too. I want what you want. Your wins are my wins. I would like my wins to be your wins. My wins these days, still alive, haven't been to the hospital, and as of last fall, my doctor said that my left leg and my right leg are the same size. I can put weight on my left leg that I couldn't before when I got sick. The swelling in my left leg has gone down, and when I take pictures, my legs are the same size. I can put weight on my leg. It's not swollen. I don't have to sleep with my leg elevated in the air. So the work that I have done, like people notice it based on like my weight, but I notice it because of my leg. And that was the consistency of that second 50 pounds. So at this point, I have lost over 100 pounds. It's not anything to congratulate me on. It's just something that happened. I could gain 100 pounds tomorrow. And with my track record, I really could gain 100 pounds tomorrow. I don't know what the future holds. I'm not going to make some big old celebration about what I look like right now, because I could easily not look like this. Like anything could happen. So how to lose weight and stay body positive, coming soon to a YouTube channel near you. I'm gonna do it whether you like it or not, because nobody puts baby in a corner, nobody puts CeCe in a corner. I can't do it anymore. And I've been like bending myself into a pretzel and trying to stay quiet about something. But I think in the end, like I just need to keep telling you guys my story. That's what I've done from the beginning. So that's just what I'm gonna keep doing. So that's the story of my weight loss. It's really not that exciting. It's just a bunch of consistency, hard work, hard choices, doctors, therapists. Yeah. And number one, first and foremost, God. A lot of prayer, a lot of meditation, a lot of stuff. It's a lot. And yeah, so wherever you are in your journey, just know I understand. I know how hard it is, even if you feel like you're failing right now and like, oh, I got to get on my, you know, when you're like, oh, I really got to get it together, I haven't been doing it, I understand. And if you feel like, oh my gosh, I've lost all this weight and now nobody understands me, and I'm not plus enough for the plus girls and I'm not skinny enough for the skinny girls, I don't feel that way, but I understand. You know what I mean? Like, I get it. I can now officially say I have been on both sides. I have never lost 100 pounds before. Now I've done it. I get it. I get it. Which is why I'm going to do this video series. We're going to talk about dating after losing weight. We're going to talk about saggy skin. And I want to answer your questions. So as I start my how to lose weight and stay body positive series, please put your questions down in the comments. It's the best way for me to create content that you guys actually want if I'm answering the things that you guys want to know, okay? So I love you guys. I hope I did this video in a way that wasn't too triggering, wasn't too weird. It's a touchy subject and I just can't walk on eggshells about it. I have to kind of just like follow my heart on this situation. So that's what I'm gonna do. I love you guys and I will see you in the next video. Please subscribe and share this with a friend if you'd like. Mwah.